My mom is a cuckold. Hi guys, here is my story. Please don't judge me. I just need to vent and offload. Yes, just like the title says, my mother is a cuckold, toxic, and manipulative. She used to be the most important person in my life. Until recently, when I decided to go no contact with her. Honestly, it has been nothing short of peaceful. It has now been exactly 1 year since we last spoke. Our final communication was on July 23rd. You might be wondering how it came to this. Why would someone distance themselves from their own mother? The person responsible for their existence. For me, the answer is a mix of many things. Her toxic and horrible behavior, and the demon we all know too well, money. Let's go back to April 2024. I was jobless. As a graduate, this is honestly one of the worst pains. I had lost my job at the height of the pandemic, at a nonprofit organization where I used to work. After that, I went back to the business that had sustained me throughout my campus life, academic writing. Everything was going well until November 2022, when AI changed everything. I lost my only source of income, and after taking 3 gap years, I had no luck getting back into employment. In April last year, my mother called me and said she urgently needed some cash. She promised that if I could lend her the money, she would repay it without fail. I fell for it. I told her that I didn't have any money because I had exhausted my savings just trying to survive. I had downgraded my lifestyle, moved to a smaller place, left savings groups, left cooperatives, canceled unnecessary subscriptions, and cut everything possible just to save a few coins. I then told her that I had an online loan app that I had built up for about 3 years. It used to help me whenever I had money problems, and I always repaid on time because I didn't want to ruin my credit score. By then, my credit limit was about $60,000. She needed $20,000. I borrowed the money and sent it to her. As with most loan apps, repayment is required within a week, and the interest rates are extremely high. She used the money, and just as promised, she returned it within a week, including the interest. I repaid the loan and life went on. She had taken the money for herself and a friend, for a small business they were doing together, and everything seemed fine. A week later, she asked me to take another loan for her. I agreed, confident she would repay it just like the first time. But I was in for a rude shock. She asked me to borrow my entire limit of $60,000. Something inside me told me not to do it. Instead, I told her that I could only access $40,000. She agreed. I borrowed the money and sent it immediately. Unknown to me, she had already planned how she would take advantage of her only daughter. My mother is a jack of all trades, and at one point she even worked as a broker. A week later, she stopped picking up my calls. When I texted her asking about repayment, she responded very rudely. Her exact words were, "Why are you demanding money from me? If you were a good child, you would have paid that money for me. Do you think I raised you with little money?" I was shocked. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It finally dawned on me that she never intended to repay the money, and that I had been deceived. I know her well. By then, the lenders were on my neck. Anyone who has dealt with online lenders knows how they make your life a living hell. Endless calls and threatening messages every minute. I couldn't take it anymore. I turned to my younger brother, who has always been my mother's favorite and is in his 3rd year at university, and my father. They tried to reason with her, but nothing worked. By this time, my mother seemed completely irrational. She started saying I was a useless daughter, that I had never helped her, and that I had been of no value since I was born. That's when I realized this was deeper than money. She was showing her true intentions. She wanted to extract money from me by any means necessary. She knew very well that I was jobless, and that defaulting would ruin my credit score and my peace of mind. But she still went ahead and took the money under false pretenses. I was hurt, confused, and in denial. My brother advised me to go home so we could talk face to face, since things were not working over the phone. That same day, I boarded a matatu at 5 in the evening and arrived home by 8. We live in the Mount Kenya region, not far from Nairobi. When I arrived, she wasn't home yet. She was still at work. I found my father and my youngest brother at home. I explained everything to my father, how defaulting would blacklist me with the credit bureau, and how the loan was accumulating an extra 500 shillings in interest daily. I had no peace. I kept my phone on flight mode because the calls and messages were overwhelming. My father told me not to worry, that he would handle the situation. But deep down, I knew he had no power. My mother completely controls him. When my mother finally came home, she was shocked to see me. I hadn't told her I was coming. She immediately became defensive and asked if I had come from Nairobi to attack her over money. We didn't speak that night. The next morning, I had breakfast and returned to Nairobi. Before leaving, I gave my father the demand letter from the lender to show how serious the situation was. Back in Nairobi, the back and forth continued. She kept lying, saying she would send the money by the weekend, knowing very well she had no intention of doing so. At that point, I was even considering getting a new phone line because I had no peace. I tried one last time to resolve the issue by involving my aunt, my mother's sister, who I am very close to. It didn't help. My mother lied to her and claimed I was a terrible daughter and that I had been violent toward her. She even claimed that after finishing high school, I had beaten her up in front of the entire village. When my aunt told me this, I cried. I knew they were lies, but there was nothing I could do to make people believe me. My aunt later called my father, who confirmed that nothing like that had ever happened. He told her my mother was just stressed and needed an outlet. Eventually, my father got the money and helped me repay the loan. I was finally free, but my relationship with my mother was completely destroyed. She cursed me and told me I would never succeed in life, that I would never get a job, that she had disowned me, that from then on she only had 2 sons. I accepted it. She then demanded that I repay some money she had given me earlier to help cover my bills. When I was unemployed, she sent me a message on a Sunday morning at 9 and demanded the money. By 5 in the evening, knowing I had no job. I hated her for that. I realized how much resentment she had harbored toward me all along for being unemployed and unable to help her. I told her money does not grow on trees. I said I would repay the $10,000, but not immediately. I needed time. We stopped talking. 2 months later, I saved enough money and sent it to her during our no-contact period. She has never acknowledged receiving it. 6 months later, she asked my brother to tell me to come home. I refused. I could not return to a place where I had been disowned. It has now been exactly 1 year since we last spoke. I am free, happy, and at peace. Sometimes I feel guilty, but I am grown enough to know that toxicity has no place in my life. 3 days after she cursed me and said I would never get a job, I received a call for an interview. This was after 2 years of job hunting. I got hired and was promoted a month later with a salary increase. To this day, I have never told her or most of my family that I got a job, and I never plan to. I feel it is better that way. My aunt still insists that I should go home and apologize if I want. God to bless me with work. I refuse. I don't care if they think I am suffering. 8 months into no contact, I was still hurting and considered revenge. My mother had once told me that my favorite brother is actually my half-brother, not fathered by my dad. She thinks I forgot. I thought about telling my brother and my father to destroy the family, even if it meant burning everything down, but something inside me stopped me. I decided to leave it to God. I fasted for 4 days and attended a church retreat, and I came back healed, even though I still struggle sometimes. I know it is my responsibility as the firstborn to protect my brother. My mother is extremely toxic and has caused me deep damage. She violated boundaries throughout my childhood in ways that deeply traumatized me. To this day, the hatred I feel toward her is immense. I believe she has serious behavioral and addiction issues. She showed inappropriate behavior openly, even in the presence of my father and family, and this affected me deeply as a child. I believe she has been unfaithful to my father throughout their marriage. My father is subdued and powerless, while my mother dominates everything, even arguing with him openly in front of us. I know she never loved me, and this entire situation only confirmed it. In high school, I scored a B+. I ranked 4th in my entire block. I only beat my brother by 5 points. Yet the first thing she said was that I must have cheated. There is so much more I could say, but I will stop here. I have decided to stay away from home for my own peace of mind for as long as possible. I talk to my father almost every day. I talk to my brother too. I love my mother, but being around her destroys my well-being. Please tell me I am justified. Thank you for listening. I just needed to offload. I feel much better now.